I guess there's another one of us now. The woman was dressed, Junpei thought, rather like a dancer. Her clothes covered very little, and her her jewellery little more. Hey, you, come on, was that jiggle physics? Psst. Hurry! With no further ceremony, she ran straight past Junpei and towards the doors right behind him. You're not going to want to go there, woman. The sudden proximity of a woman with such striking assets left Junpei momentarily stunned. Others wasted no time and quickly followed the strange woman. The first past Junpei was a young man with silver hair. He threw a quick glance in Junpei's direction as he ran, muttering, one of us, huh? Following him was an older man, his face calm and without fear. Soft wrinkles sprouted from his eyes, and he came close enough as he passed for Junpei to see wisps of grey in his hair. His composure and shock of hair struck Junpei as rather like that of an elderly lion. Going up won't do you any good. There are 2 doors, neither of them will open. The next to speak was a girl with pink hair and a high voice. Come on. Aren't you coming? You've got to hurry. A small hand was wrapped around the wrist of another man. His eyes were closed, almost as though he was sleeping. His features were graceful, almost serene. He was dressed rather elegantly for someone his age. Something about his posture seemed very refined, and Junpei couldn't help feeling he was noble and dignified, somehow. He'd certainly never seen one, but this man certainly seemed like what Junpei had always imagined a prince to be like. That's 9 of us, then. All of the cards are in hand. What does all of the cards are in hand mean? He wondered. Junpei opened his mouth to ask what the other man had meant, but the girl with pink hair rushed past him, and they were gone. He turned just in time to see 2 more people running towards him. One of them had hair like a bird's nest, and looked as though a stiff breeze might topple him. And the other was a veritable mountain of a man. The scrawny one said nothing, and scuttled past Junpei as though he were running from something. Hey, what the hell are you just standing there for? Didn't you hear him? The doors on A deck are no good. You've got to check doors on B deck. Got it? Now go. Before he had a chance to respond, the man laid a massive hand on Junpei's shoulder. With no more effort than Junpei would have used to brush aside a fly, the man shoved him out of the way. Whoa! Thrown off balance by the man and recent events, it took Junpei a few steps to get his bearings. He finally regained his balance and looked up at what the other 7 had been running toward. There were 2 pairs of large iron doors set into the wall in front of him. They looked quite sturdy, and each had handles jutting from them. Written across the surface of each door in red paint was a number. The door on the right had a 4, and the door on the left had a 5. They're the same. The guy Junpei decided to call Silver was mumbling to himself. The room I woke up in had a number on the door, just like that. You too, huh? With an arched eyebrow, the lion looked over at Silver. My cell was the same. A number upon the door. I opened it, ran down the hallway outside, and found myself in a rather grand room. Full of stairs, as I suspect did the rest. Of you. It was as though the floodgates had been opened. They all began to talk at once. Me too. I did too. Yeah, a door with a number on it. It soon became clear that each of them had awoken in a room with a locked door, and they had solved a puzzle to escape. They'd all ended up in the same room, almost as though they'd been guided there. Yes, we all saw the same thing. That's not important. We need to hurry. You think I don't know that, lady? Before the dogs had time to finish, Silver was already running. He grabbed hold of the door labelled 5 and pulled. However, fuck, it's not opening. This damn thing won't even budge. Move. You're in the way. The mountain grabbed Silver's shoulder and tossed him aside. His path cleared, he took a few steps back and then threw himself at the door. Once, twice, 3 times a lady, 4 times. The door shook as his body slammed into it, but showed no signs of breaking or opening. The mountain threw himself at the door again. Junpei turned toward door 4. Next to the door on the wall was a small box. It looked just like the one he'd seen in his room, next to that door. If it was the same, then this door was likely locked as well. Still, he had to check. Junpei grabbed her handle and threw all of his weight into it. Gah! It was locked as tight as the door next to it, as he'd suspected. Damn it! Junpei punched the door. It did not respond. Were these the only doors, he wondered? He'd barely finished the thought when the sea-deck plate he'd passed on his way up sprang, unbidden, to his mind. His body moved before he had time to think. Junpei turned and ran back towards the stairs. You probably have to do them in order. He had scarcely taken a step when, at the top of the stairs, next to an ornate clock embedded in the wall, he saw a person. It was a girl. She looked to be the same age as Junpei. Fucking dick! Stop yelling! He froze, unable to look away from her face. He wasn't confounded by her beauty or something equally silly. No, there was another reason he couldn't take his eyes off the girl. Junpei had seen her somewhere before. He couldn't quite remember where, but he knew. He knew he'd met her before. The girl, too, stared at Junpei, similarly stunned. Her response suggested she'd seen him before as well. Without saying a word, Junpei walked slowly towards her. She didn't move. It was almost as though she was held in place by some sort of magic spell. As Junpei stepped onto her landing, the spell broke. No sooner had he set his foot down than the whole ship shook a second time. Ah! The quake caught the girl unprepared, and she fell. Moving on instinct, Junpei leapt to catch her. Or so he thought. Awkward! Her face was far closer than it should have been, mere inches from his own. He was flat on his back, and she had landed squarely on top of him. The girl seemed as confused as he did, and her face suggested that she still hadn't fully recovered from seeing him. For a moment, that seemed to stretch on for a very long time, I stared at one another. Ugh, so unprofessional. The ship stopped shaking. 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 There we go. Everything was quiet. Water could be heard from the bottom of the ship, lapping faintly at the walls and ceilings. Eventually that faded as well. The silence was complete. A thick, muffling blanket. At last, the girl opened her mouth. Oh my gosh! Is that you, Jumpy? Jumpy. Jumpy. Her words echoed through Junpei's head, and suddenly his memory returned. Akane? Why hadn't he realized it before? The girl was Akane Kurashiki. She and Junpei had been friends in childhood. They'd even gone to elementary school together for 6 years. But what was she doing on the ship? Her soft eyes were only inches away from his own. He could feel the warmth of her face. Now, kiss. Feelings he thought long forgotten began to work their way to the surface. Yes. Kiss. He could feel his face heating up. And now he has a boner. At that moment, a speaker crackled to life, and a cold, eerie voice filled the room. Welcome aboard! I welcome you all from the bottom of my heart to this, my vessel. With the voice of invasion, the spell between Junpei and Akane was broken, and all hints of burgeoning romance instantly forgotten. Fuck! You sank my ship! They hurriedly untangled themselves from one another and struggled to their feet. Their 7 companions had heard the voice as well, and many of their faces had gone pale. They looked around frantically, desperate to locate the source of the voice. At last, they found it. A speaker set in the ceiling. I am Zero, the captain of this ship. I am also the person who invited you here. The voice was harsh, obscured occasionally by the crackle of static. But Junpei recognized it. How could he have forgotten it? It was the same voice he had heard from the man in the gas mask. Hey, asshole. What the hell is this? Come on out here. I want to get a look at you. What do you mean to do to us? I mean to have you participate in a game. I want to play a little game. Some of you, I know, are familiar with this game. The nonnery game. It is a game where you will put your life on the line. Nonnery game? What the hell's that? The voice continued, impeccable. The rules of the nonnery game can be found upon your persons. They are simple rules. Read them. Nonnery game? Yeah, you said that. Hey, there's something in my pocket. Check this out. Where exactly does the dancer have the rules? She doesn't look like she's got pockets. Of the fabric kind. You! Silver reached into his pocket and pulled out a small slip of paper. The rest of them reached into their own pockets and pulled out similar slips of paper. Junpei followed suit and dug into the pocket of his pants. He felt the telltale crumple of paper, slightly damp from his earlier ordeal. Hey, I got one too. Then it would seem Zero has seen fit to grace us each with a letter. Would you mind terribly reading it to us, young man? Can't you read, old dude? His request had been delivered to Junpei, who, after a short moment of surprise, did as he'd been asked. On this ship you will find a handful of doors emblazoned with numbers. We will call them the numbered doors. Thank you, Captain Obvious. The doors in front of you are a pair of the same. The key to opening these numbered doors are the numbered bracelets that each of you possess. Oh, so everyone gets a door. Sweet. Should you total the numbers on your numbered bracelets and find that the digital root of that number is equal to the number of that door will open. Oh, fuck. Only those who have opened the door may pass through. There are, however, limits. Only 3 to 5 people can pass through one numbered door. All those who enter must leave, and all those who enter must contribute. The bracelet, Junpei figured, had to mean the bulky thing on his wrist. He glanced around, and it looked like everyone else had one as well, and had come to much the same conclusion. The purpose of this game is simple. Leave the ship alive. It is hidden, but an exit can be found. Seek a way out. Seek a door that carries a 9. Junpei had reached the end of the letter. There was a long moment of silence, and then the speaker crackled to life once more. There is one last thing I must tell you. As you have no doubt surmised, this ship has begun to sink. On April 14th, 1912, the famous ocean liner Titanic crashed into an iceberg. After remaining afloat for 2 hours and 40 minutes, it sank beneath the waters of the North Atlantic. I will give you more time. 9 hours. That is the time you will be given to make your escape." The voice finished, the speaker went silent. The sound of a bell tolling echoed through the hall. It came from the dance hall adjacent to the stairwell. It took those assembled on the stairs mere moments to trace the sound of an antique clock embedded in the wall. 7, 8, 9. The sound of the 9th bell faded away. The 10th never came. That meant the time was 9 o'clock. Most likely 9 o'clock in the evening. When Junpei had peered out of the window of his cell, he'd seen nothing but blackness. It had to have been night time. That or underwater, because, water did come in through the window, you dumb shit. If that was the case, then they would need to escape by 6 a.m. the following day. Well done! The boy can math! Now it is time. Let our game begin. I wish you all the best of luck.